Let's do it. Let's go live. Hey there, guys. I'm Alexandra Harbushka. I'm founder of Life with Herpes. I didn't get live yesterday, so I apologize for that. My day caught up with me. I don't know what I was doing, but it caught up with me. So anyways, welcome. If you are new and you're like, what am I watching? My name is Alexandra. I am founder of Life with Herpes. I was diagnosed with oral HSV1 in 2003 and genital HSV2 in 2011. So I've been living with both types of herpes, up there and down there, for almost 20 years. I don't even want to say 20. That sounds like super old, but I've been living with it for a long time. So if you are just joining, this is your opportunity to ask your questions. This is your opportunity to find out about what it's like living with herpes, being diagnosed with herpes. If you're just diagnosed with herpes, this is a great spot. I do these daily, and I have tons of videos, tons of resources, and a lot of stuff on my website as well for you to come check it out and find the support you need. And then one of the main reasons why I'm doing this is because in 2011, when I was diagnosed with genital herpes, I was 28 years old and I was super alone. There really was no support for this. There was nothing out there like this. Number one, we didn't have the technology to do this, but people just weren't talking about taboo topics. People weren't talking about herpes. People weren't talking about how to deal with a diagnosis, how to overcome it, how to live your life. So anyways, I'm excited to have the ability with this platform, with all these platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Zoom, all that. I'm trying to get this. Okay. So anyways, so feel free to ask your questions here, and I will answer them. So someone said, gave it to me while he had a cold sore. So yeah, a lot of times people don't realize that oral herpes, AKA cold sores, AKA fever blisters, can be considered an STD or an STI because they could be transmitted when you do things with your mouth down there. We're thought to think like, oh, it's just a cold sore, it's just a fever blister, it's nothing to do, it's not contagious, I was born with it. It's not hereditary, you're not born with herpes. You contract it from skin to skin. So you may have contracted it at birth, but probably not. Most people contract it from just living life and having contact with other people, because 2 out of 3 people actually have HSV1, which is a lot of people, and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. Your videos have helped me lately so much. Oh, good. I'm so glad they've helped. Just let me know what type of videos you want to see. Do you want more like this? Do you want more lives? Do you want more like Q&A type content? Do you want funny content? I do my best to try and create what you guys need and want. So please let me know. And also thanks so much for all the hearts. I love seeing them. So thanks for that. I appreciate the little heart. My little boy is so cute. Like when you're little, your arms are like this long. So he does little hearts and they're like this. It's really cute. All right. Lots of questions. I was given it on purpose from my ex who was a drug addict. It's nice to have this platform. I am so sorry. That is a really shitty way. That's awful. I'm really sorry that your ex did that to you. The good news is you said ex. That's number one good news. Yeah, 2 things I really like to focus on when we're dealing with herpes, because we can get so angry at our ex. Like clearly you have a very good reason to be angry and frustrated and feel the betrayal and feel the hurt. It's like the ultimate betrayal. But I like to practice forgiveness. So practicing forgiveness for our partners. Like I forgive my partner for what he or she did, whether he or she knew they had herpes, whether they did it on purpose. That person wasn't in the right mindset, especially if they did it on purpose. Like forgive your partner for what he or she did, and then forgive yourself. So when you forgive yourself, that also, because you could say like, well, I did this and I did that and I shouldn't have done this, and forgive yourself. It's in the past. You can't worry about it. You can't change it. You can only make changes to what's going on in the future. And then number 2, take responsibility for your actions. So take responsibility for either not having your partner get tested. Take responsibility for having sex. Take responsibility for not using a condom. Take responsibility for whatever that is. Like, you take on that responsibility. So I think that those are two really important things. How many people have I sat on? So that's a really, really great point. Is we assume that herpes is from promiscuity, but the thing is, it's actually not. It's not like the other STIs, STDs, which are typically vaginal fluid or semen transmitted. Herpes is actually skin-to-skin transmission. So you can have a partner, you can have one partner your entire life and get it from that one partner. Both you and your partner could be virgins and you could still get it, because what can happen is someone can have oral herpes and do things with their mouth down there, and then you ended up with genital herpes. So another great point is to always use a rubber. So I also think that's a really great point. Condoms are great. Condoms are important. They cut down a lot of extra risk, but condoms also don't always protect you. So we're a lot of times under the influence that, just throw a condom on and it'll be fine. Yeah, condoms help. So condoms only protect you 30 to 50% of the time. And the reason why is because, number one, we're not always using them consistently. We're not using them, number two, correctly. I'll explain in a second. And a lot of times we're not using them the entire time. So a lot of times people will start out having fun, doing things, skin to skin, and then you go to do the deed and you're like, oh, I'll put the condom on now. Well, the skin to skin has already happened. All right. Consistently means like you use it one time and don't use it the next time. And correctly, a lot of times people will put them on backwards, upside down, the wrong ways, whatever. You put it on this way, then you're like, oh, it's not right. And then you do this way. Well, it's already touched that. So anyways, that's that. But I'm not saying don't use condoms. What I'm saying is don't beat yourself up if you did get herpes and you're like, I used a condom every single time. What happened? Also, don't think that you're quote unquote safe because you've always used a condom. There's other areas that we have herpes that are not just on our genitals. So a lot of times we think that it's just going to be on like the genitals, but it can be under your belly button. It can be on your butt. For me personally, it's on my tailbone. It can be on your inner thigh. It can be on your hamstring. It can be in any of those regions. And so using a condom doesn't always help. So I know you were trying to kind of sting me and criticize me and call me names by saying how many people have I sat on and I should have been more responsible for using a condom. You can say that to my face all you want. I just wanted to let you know that if you're out there thinking a condom is gonna save you or be the best method, it's not. The best thing that you can do is communicate to your partner, have the conversation about safe sex, go get tested, get on the same page. All right, so don't ignore your question. I don't see King Avil. I don't see your question. So if you could do it again. How often do I have outbreaks? So maybe that was your question. I actually have, well, I'm just finishing up one right now. You know, it's depended. Like HSV1, I've had since 2003, and I've had four oral herpes outbreaks, so not very many. Genital herpes, HSV2, I've gone through seasons. I've gone through seasons of having back-to-back outbreaks, outbreaks on top of outbreaks. I've gone through seasons of having no outbreaks. That one I do struggle with. And that one, I really do have to work on making sure I have a clean diet. I have plenty of sleep. I drink plenty of water, and I take care of myself. I take my vitamins, like my lysine and monolaurin. In fact, I need to take some. That's why I had it out. Lysine is extremely helpful with dealing with the prodrome. And then the monolaurin is really great in helping with the overall immune support. So I talk about this a lot. I do have it linked for you if you want to check it out. I can talk about that more if you guys want. Definitely did smile and now make sure to disclose with anybody. Yeah, definitely did. And now I make sure to disclose to any partners. Disclosing is obviously what, you know, it's all about. And it's not so much thinking of like, I have to disclose I have herpes. Let's look at it as like, I'm going to have this responsible talk with you about our sexual health. You have an interview process if you're going to borrow money. You have, you go through an interview process if you're going to start a new job. Like, why wouldn't we interview or have a conversation with a person before we expose our body to them? Right? Like, it just makes sense. All right. It's always from that. Yeah, I don't know. Only people who have herpes say that. Okay, cool. That's fine. You probably have it and don't know. You probably haven't been tested for it. So that's what happens a lot, is we think like, oh, I'm good. I don't have any outbreaks. The majority of the people living with herpes are asymptomatic. So yeah, how did I get it? HSV1, I was kissed by somebody who had a cold sore. I went on a date and my date kissed me goodnight. I was 20. And HSV2, I had sex with my boyfriend, so he didn't know he had it. And I got herpes that way. I love how honest you are. Thanks. Hi, beautiful. Hi, thank you. Yeah, Maya, thanks for saying I'm sure you haven't been tested. Who is we? I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, you've had herpes for 45 years. Yeah, and you're living life. It's just fine, right? Okay, someone's responding to the person that was being kind of snippy. Is I got herpes from my boyfriend going down on me and having a cold sore. What would a rubber have done? Excellent point. Haven't used one of them in 30 years. Great, cool. Do you go on medication every time you have an outbreak? So I personally do not. I take the lysine and monolaurin, and this is what I use. Right now I'm in a phase of my life, I don't want to really take any medications. I have to take my thyroid medication every day, but I'm really into natural supplements and herbs and things like that. How did you get the confidence back sexually? It took a really long time. You're completely stripped, but I would be honest to say that I didn't really have the confidence before. I was just going along with what I thought was the right thing, or what I thought was sexy, or like I didn't really have the confidence in myself. And when I look back, so this was a really great eye-opening thing for me to realize and go, okay, the issues that I was putting forward. So, like I was binge eating because I thought that was the best way to like control my weight and be the right size. And clearly that's not the right way, right? It's healthy diet, it's exercise. And so that was a big eye opener of like, all right, I now have this virus and I need to keep my immune system strong, and binge eating is not the way to do it. However, so someone's saying like you've never had an outbreak. Yeah, that's awesome. Most people don't get outbreaks. So that's awesome. You never had one. How can you legally find out who gave you herpes? You can't. It's really hard to identify who gave it to you. So you can't like go get a test and say like I've had herpes for, 3 years. Like there's no way to know how long you've had it. So it's very hard to like pinpoint and point fingers and say, I got it from you. You can suspect, you can guess, but it's very hard. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you. I appreciate that. How does lysine have any side effects? It is a protein. I'm sure like everything has a side effect if you take too much of it. Like if you eat too many avocados, you have a side effect, right? I would definitely talk to your doctor. It is a protein. It's something that we consume every single day in our foods. If they take valcyclovir, do you feel like they can still transmit? So yes, you can still transmit it if you're taking the antiviral, which would be valcyclovir, Valtrex, or acyclovir. However, it does lessen the transmission rate by 48%. So it cuts it down significantly and is really the best way to prevent transmission. Just keep your hands away from your eyes when you have active outbreaks. Absolutely. And that's a great thing. You just don't want to try and get it in your eyes, like, or anything in your eyes for that matter. That was your question? Okay, cool. I'm glad I answered it. How can you legally get someone's health records to find out who gave it to you? I don't know. I'm personally not a big proponent on suing someone or like going after them to prove that they gave it to you, because at the end of the day, you still have it. At the end of the day, you're going to go through a lot of scrutiny. You're going to be extremely exposed. You're going to be bare naked in front of a court talking about your sex life and your partner's sex life, and they may bring in your past partners, past relationships. So I don't think that is personally the way to go. I think the way to go is take responsibility for your actions and forgive your partner, forgive yourself. Yes, you can transmit it even when you're medicated. Yes, you can. And guys, thanks so much for just being here. And if there's anybody that you're like, oh my gosh, my friend is just dealing with this, like share this with them, share Life with Herpes with them. I am just here to support you guys. I'm here to bring information aware. As you can see, I don't get a lot of negative scrutiny. There will be people that pop on and try to tell me things, and it's just kind of funny to me. I'm at the point I really don't care. So I'm just here to support you through this. Does lysine have any side effects? So again, I'm not a doctor. Lysine is something that we consume daily. It is a protein, and I would definitely ask your doctor if you think there's side effects or if it's something you shouldn't be taking, but I definitely take it daily. Does diet and sleep affect outbreaks? It does. So there are foods that obviously that lower your immune system. There's foods that you may be allergic to, you may have sensitivities to. And then there's foods, the opposite of lysine would be arginine. Arginine is also an essential amino acid. It's also a protein just like lysine. And basically arginine is fuel for the herpes virus. It replicates the herpes virus. The herpes virus loves arginine. And so the reason why you want to have lysine in your diet or take an extra supplement is because it blocks the arginine. It blocks the element that allows the herpes virus to replicate. So by adding lysine to your diet or taking supplements, it really, really helps. So by eating high arginine foods, such as nuts, chocolate, those are some really big ones. There's a couple other ones like the coffee bean is a higher one. All the good ones are kind of high in arginine, but it can fuel or can give, it can, hinder the healing process, and it can kind of maybe sometimes cause an outbreak. Always be honest. Yeah, always be honest. Can you spread herpes to other parts of your body? Yes and no. So if you have the antibodies, then as of now, based on the research and science that we're aware of, the medical community, I'm just relaying what I have learned. But no, you cannot transmit it to other parts of your body. If you do not have the antibodies, it is possible to reinfect yourself. How did I get, stress and anxiety equals an outbreak. Absolutely. How did you get it? I had a boyfriend that didn't know he had it, so that's how I got it. Just take valacyclovir and don't tell your partners. Yeah, I completely disagree with that. You still are at risk of transmitting herpes to your partner even though you are on the antiviral. I feel like full disclosure is always the way to go, and you just don't know what's going to happen with that partner. Is that partner going to turn into a long-term relationship? Is it going to turn into a marriage? And then you're stuck like, oh no, I never told you, and it's 5 years later, I need to tell you. Or that person comes down with herpes and you're like, well, I don't know where you got it from. The truth always comes out, so disclosure is always the right way to go. It's a surprise that I was negative, probably been with 30 people. Yeah, I mean, you don't know. Definitely you've been with people that have it. You just either haven't gotten it or hasn't popped up yet. My husband doesn't have it, and obviously we're together. Can you talk about the ones on your tailbone? Yeah, so I get outbreaks on my anal opening and on my tailbone. So when I first got the ones on my tailbone, it was like 5-6 years later, after, like it showed up 5-6 years later there. It didn't initiate there, it didn't start there. I didn't think it was a herpes outbreak. I thought it was a bug bite. For me, the ones on my tailbone don't have any signs or symptoms or warnings. It's more of like I suddenly have an itch, thinking like it's my tag, like my underwear tag or something, and then I itch and then there's bumps. Those are usually in a cluster for me. So herpes outbreaks can be a cluster of blisters. It can be one blister, or it can look like a paper cut. So those are personally mine. Love your content. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If I take an antiviral daily, will that affect your immune system? I don't know the answer to that. I would defer to talking to your doctor. I honestly don't know. I don't know. How good is gabapentin? I don't actually know what that is or how to pronounce that. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you, so thank you. Have you taken the antiviral before and did it affect you? Yeah, I was on it for like 3 years straight. I was on it also at the end of my pregnancy. I was also on it for a couple of months this last year. How does it affect me? When I first get on it, I get headaches. Sometimes I can feel a little dizzy. Like if I take 1,000 milligrams, I can feel a little dizzy when I take it. Usually my body adjusts to it. I also feel extremely dehydrated. Does it affect your sleep? Any heart palpitations? Not that I can recall. How do you have so much energy? Just watch your life in a day video. Oh my gosh. I'm glad it went live. I sleep. I make sure I sleep. I'm in bed at 9 and I don't drink coffee. I have a sip of my husband's coffee and I eat really healthy. I eat clean. I think that has a lot to do with it. So I cut out the caffeine. I don't rely on like other things to fuel me, and it's taken me a long time to get there. But when I go to sleep, I am out. Like I sleep and I like to exercise. It's important to me to exercise, so I have to get it done. Also, do you guys like the day in the life videos? Like if you like them, I will keep doing them. They take a little longer to create. So if you guys aren't into them, then I'd rather produce content that's like specific to herpes. But I think a lot of times people are like, I actually want to see what your life is like. So let me know if you guys want to keep seeing them. Do I think there'll ever be a cure? I do. I think there'll totally be a cure. I don't know when. And what is a cure, right? What is the actual definition of a cure? Because that can mean, right now there is no cure for viruses. We have viruses forever. So there might be something that makes it go dormant permanently or undetectable in your body. Does it hurt? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It just depends. Sometimes my outbreaks only hurt if you touch them. Other times you know they're there. As I've aged and had it in my body, my outbreaks now are pretty mild. I don't really even know they're there. Papercut, yeah, so herpes outbreaks can look like a cluster of blisters or literally like a paper cut. So sometimes mine on my anal opening are a paper cut. There's no blister. It's just a little cut. And that's why a lot of people can be misdiagnosed. Or we would think like, oh, there's a paper cut. I must have cut myself shaving, or I must have wiped, or it must have been my underwear. We misdiagnose based on what we assume herpes looks like. Have I always eaten healthy? I have always eaten healthy foods. I've always exercised, but I wasn't always healthy about it. So I used to like binge eat. I wouldn't eat all day and then I would eat a ton in one day. Or I wouldn't eat and then I would go run 30 miles. So I would say that's not healthy, but have I always eaten healthy? I definitely got healthier after my herpes diagnosis and started eating clean foods because I realized that certain foods were, I had really bad yeast infections when I was diagnosed with herpes, and one of the things that got rid of it was cutting out dairy in my diet. That was really hard. And then the next thing, I was sluggish and gluten's an inflammatory. So I'm really working on anti-inflammation foods, things like that. You were diagnosed in 19. It's really not that big of a deal. Love the content. Oh, thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Do the paper cut ones still tingle? Yeah. And when I say tingle, for me personally, it's like a spider walking on my hand. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. Thank you for the hearts. I really appreciate it. Like I said, let me know what type of content you want to hear or see. If you like the day in the life ones, I'll keep doing it. I just appreciate you all so much being here. And again, I'm just here to support you through your diagnosis and through your journey. And I just want everybody to be aware, either to prevent a diagnosis, or if you do have it, how do we live with it? How do we live our life? All right, love you too, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Bye.